I'm gonna try to look at it also from different perspective, like Bashar and the secret, law of attraction, non-duality, and all of this stuff. So let's talk about manifesting. Uh, there are basically three or four different ways to see manifesting. I'm gonna start with the first one. If you are completely present right now and you are marinating in the self that you truly are, then you do not have a desire at that moment. And this is also something that I disagree with Teal Swan. She says you have to accept that you will always have desires. I don't think that's not the case because it depends who is the true self. If you recognize the true self as being beingness, then you recognize that there is uh, there is no desire as the self, as the true self. The true self is desireless. Then you have the second view is Bashar. Bashar says, follow your highest excitement or follow your highest joy, meaning that any moment in time, you decide to follow your highest joy, whatever that is in that moment. So if to the best extent of your abilities. So if for example, you want to make a tea right now or you want to go for a walk and that would give you the highest joy, then by all means do that. And that changes your frequency, your aura frequency, everything changes, and you kind of move into a new universe that you haven't accessed before because before you didn't follow your joy. So your bag is basically changing your reality by following your highest joy. That would be the Bashar way. Then the third way, which is basically the secret or law of attraction, is that you have an intention, you put attention on it, and you let it go in a kind of holographic imagination. So if you say, I want this, okay, then you imagine that as if you already had it. Joe Dispenza says it the same way. So you imagine it as if you already had it, and then when you really feel it, and it really is your energy field kind of changed in this way, then you let it go. And after letting go, and the letting go part is really important, by the way. If you don't let go, you will kind of cling to that idea and you will not be in the flow. So kind of you're letting it go without expectation. Bashar says the same thing: follow your highest joy, change your frequency through that, and then don't have any expectation. And then eventually, as you keep doing that, the reality starts to adjust to it, and you will start to manifest that new energy. And I don't think it's not true. I don't think it's necessarily not true, but I think you have to look at it from different perspectives. First of all, if you have a desire, you have to ask yourself first, where is this desire coming from? Is this desire coming from which chakra, which energy field? Is it coming from a lack of having something? Is it coming from fear? Is it coming from sacral chakra desire, solar plexus desire, heart chakra desire? So you need to look at where it's actually coming from. And I think this is my serious opinion. Whatever manifestation method you choose, I think it must come from the heart chakra because otherwise it has very little value. And either it must be pure joy, like Bashar says, either it must be pure joy and not the kind of hedonistic joy, but kind of like the childish kind of joy, or it must come from the heart chakra, the heart kind of joy. And I think that you have these three options for manifesting, and you kind of need to figure out which one is the most relevant to you, which one you really want to do. And then as you decide on it, you must also consider whether you're kind of like addicted to that or whether it's optional. And I think this is super important because if you're addicted to the idea to need something, then you will get frustrated and unhappy because you didn't receive it. And it's kind of like, let's say I would want to manifest some whatever, something X. then you kind of have in the back of your mind, in your unconscious mind, you always have the thing that Jesus, I haven't really, I'm not, I'm not getting it, or I don't have it yet. So actually, the whole idea of manifesting is actually coming from a sense of lack. And even though you let go after giving attention, intention, attention, letting go, even though you're completely letting go, there's still some idea that you need that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have tried to manifest it. And I think this is where most people go wrong, because I think manifesting, if at all, shouldn't be something about something that happens in the future, but it should be something that happens right in the very moment that you're doing it. And I think the only way that it makes sense is actually the way Bashar says, if something gives you joy right now, just do it for the sake of joy and not for the sake of manifesting something in the future, and thereby you are already receiving the fruits of your what you want. So if I say, okay, I would love to make myself a tea, I'll just make myself a tea right now. Super simple, right? And and it's always, like he says, it's always to the best of your abilities. That means if you feel it's too much, let's say you want a girlfriend and it's too much for you to, speak to girls or something, then you don't have the capacity in the moment. Then you go for the next thing that would bring you joy. Doesn't have to be necessarily that. And I think that's the key to living. And it's not, I wouldn't call it necessarily manifestation. It's more like a decision for self-love, in terms of like allowing yourself the joy that is already present to manifest itself or to experience itself through an action. Very simple. And that's basically what Bashar says. But then I would go even further. Is it not possible to be guided just by listening in silence and listening to your heart chakra, what surfaces on its own, rather than by conditioning or by believing something that you're not truly needing? So if, for example, if young people, let's say young people listen to Andrew Tate and there's like, oh, I need exactly what Andrew Tate has. And they'll direct all of their energy in this direction. But, and it's probably for them, it's probably a better decision than if they just procrastinate in front and do porn or whatever, and watch porn or something in computer games. But there is a third alternative. It doesn't have to be just these two things. And the third alternative is really going in the direction of your soul plan and not someone else's soul plan. I would even go so far. Never model your life. Never model your life by how someone else lives. I think that's super important. Never model your life to how someone else lives. Come into silence, listen to your heart chakra in a passive mode, and let the actions flow from that. And we get so easily brainwashed by superficial things. Like, does James have a Lamborghini? Does he have a Bugatti? Does he have a huge house? Because it's very hard to quantify the feeling that I get by sitting in my van and just enjoying the sun, and having that freedom. And that's my soul plan. It's what I chose at this very moment in time, and everybody chooses for themselves. And life, this is the fantastic thing about life. it'll figure out how to give you what you need or what it wants you to give. Uh, some things just fall into place on their own. I mean, the way you're born, even the characteristics and the talents that you have, it's just it's out of your control. Most things in life are out of your control. You believe that you have control over them, but you don't. And plus, another thing, chasing sandcastles, eventually you have to get uh, to to let them go anyway when you die and when you have a certain age. So, and that's wisdom. So I think it's literally about fulfilling your joy in the very moment you're in, like Bashar says, and going with that flow. So being empty, listening to your heart, following your joy, just by the moment in that flow makes much more sense than anything else. And that's it for now.